Hello, class. Today we're going to be investigating the Library of Alexandria and its impact on modern society through myth and mythos. If you'll turn your books to page 42, you will find a long, lengthy block of text about this particular thing. I'm going to read the text, and I expect you to read along. Now, on the next page, you will find a separate account of two individuals who appear to be of the same gender, depicted in modern art, who may not have known each other, who were painted together in this this past context. Is everyone with me, or does everyone have any questions?
So how would you describe those two people?
I'd probably describe them as queer and pleasant strangers.
Greetings, strangers queer and pleasant. I'm not LauraKBuzz.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two trans queer women talk about their weeks and do a bunch of silly voices and jokes, because that's what we do. How are you doing this week, Jane?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a pretty chill day today. It's been a sort of like tracksuit bottoms and a dressing gown kind of day today.
I'm doing a heckin' envy.
I know.
I got to about 11 o'clock and just went, why am I wearing a bra? It's too hot in there.
It is one of the perks of getting to work from home is that, like, apart from that one day I commute, I can basically just wear what I want, and it's quite nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well gel, as they say.
Tee-hee-hee. So, where do we want to start this week?
That's a good question. I think my plate section is probably the largest.
Should we get that out of the way first, then?
Let's knock that out in hopefully less than 40 minutes this time.
Jane, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I'm sad to say that this will be almost certainly the final Dragon Quest Builders update, as I have finished it.
It'll be
from my part, anyway.
It'll be the final one from you. I'll probably chime in.
Yeah. Well, no. I can only speak for myself. But for myself, I think I'm largely done with that now. I played through the campaign. There is still Terra Incognita, but I sort of looked at it and went, eh.
Is it just not giving you, like, the full suite of creative tools you'd hoped for?
It is, but again, it's changed the recipes. So, like, I'm told that I'm going off into this world with less overarching quest, less need to sort of build up a town, but at the same time I still need to go and get equipment to build the things I want to build creatively, and once again the in this case the colossal closet rather than the colossal coffer is the recipe is completely different from previous ones. So I think I've probably played about 4 hours of the new of Terra Incognita, and I still don't have the things to make that.
The impression I keep getting from the way you talk about it is that, like, the biggest problem this game seems to have, and it's definitely something I experienced between chapters 1 and 2, is an unwillingness to, like, work off of what they already did and worked well. That they're just like, nope, throw it all out, new thing.
I mean, I get that this is completely separate from the campaign, and maybe if I hadn't just gone through that sort of 4 times already, that I would be more accepting. So maybe I will need a break before I come back to that. But for now, I think I'm pretty much done with Dragon Quest Builders.
How do you feel? Fun. Oh, sorry, yeah.
It was fun. I enjoyed playing through the campaign. Particularly enjoyed the last worlds. I got to make everything nice and green and shiny from its sort of moon rock and desolation look. And the final boss was quite interesting. I'm a little bit tempted to go back in and see what the other alternative is fighting the final boss.
Yeah.
Because as you will remember from the sort of intro, the opening, they talk about how the hero, who is the hero from Dragon Quest 1, was made an offer by the Dragon Lord to, you can either rule the world, have half of the world to rule with me, or you can, keep this fight up and I will kick your ass. And the lore of this game is that the hero decided to basically sell everyone out for half the world. And you do actually get to fight the quote-unquote the hero during that last chapter. You are then, during that final fight with the Dragon Lord, given that same option. Oh. Obviously, I was like, hell no, but part of me just thinks, well, I wonder what it would be like to be given half the world and see how that goes.
I would be very curious to hear how that goes. So yeah, I'm glad that you've enjoyed it right through to the end, even if you've not stuck through with the Terra Incognita. I feel good about us picking this game up. I feel like we've got a decent amount of play out of this.
Definitely.
So yay, that was Dragon Quest Builders.
I'm glad. What about you? Got any other played?
Yeah, so I need to find the name of it. What is that top-down shooter game we played this week?
Steredin?
Steredin. Steredenen.
That's the one?
Yeah. So this is a sort of top-down spaceship shooter kind of game, and from the little bit of it we played, it seems like it's procedurally generated in that we were getting different power-ups and layouts of enemies. Yeah. And yeah, it was just a very sort of fast-paced, avoid the bullet hell patterns, shoot the ships, keep going kind of game. They did some nice stuff with you being able to pick upgrades between levels. I found it a lot easier to play when there were upgrades, weapon upgrades available that were things like drop a turret here that will automatically shoot for a bit, because it meant that I could just kind of focus on dodging and not having to get into position to shoot.
Yeah.
It was a good looking game. It looked
it's very pretty.
It was a good polished looking one of these. It's worth warning that when we were playing, one playthrough just kind of crashed for no reason.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Wasn't it
to this date is still the best playthrough I'd had. I got to the end of the first boss fight, and it just went no.
And wasn't that your first playthrough of the game?
It was. I've not been able to play that well since. It's almost like the game went, "You're doing too well. Fuck you." I will rewrite myself to be considerably harder.
Well, hopefully, have you been playing more of it since we did?
Yeah, I've bashed back into it a couple of times. I've not managed to get much past the first boss, and sometimes not even through the first boss. Maybe something to do with the power-ups I've been getting. But it's still very nice to look at.
Yeah. It doesn't feel particularly unfair or anything. It's a well-made game.
It's fair. But I've never been that terribly good at that sort of games. R-Type. I love R-Type. It's beautiful, but at the same time, not very good at it.
Yeah, with those kind of games, I have to resign myself to the fact I won't get past level 2 or 3 at best, and I'm that's okay. I'm okay with that.
But the pixel art sort of reminds me of FTL, which is very pleasant. Music's okay. The graphics with regards to sort of the bullets and lighting effects, very pretty.
Yeah, I was going to mention the music. It's all very, hard rock music, isn't it?
Yes, surprisingly not electronic music for a game like that.
I couldn't place what music I was expecting at first, but I was like, this is a lot of guitars and drums and not what it just felt... It was good, but it just felt out of place because of genre conventions. Yeah,
I would have expected something sort of more hard dancey, but it's very much more you probably want to headbang along to it and kill stuff, so it's good.
It's good for getting the blood pumping.
Yeah.
What about you? What else have you been playing this week?
I played through Cat Quest. I finally played through Cat Quest. It was about sort of 5 or 6 hours. Very cute. I think I mentioned before, I saw it at previously at MCM London, and I saw it recently at the PC Gamer Weekender, and finally gave in and got it. It's a nice little game, quite fun. The cat puns everywhere are awesome. You have, we mentioned before the Lion King. King. Leonardo, I think it was, something like that.
The king who was a lion, who was the Lion King.
He was the Lion King. And he rules over the capital city. And I loved all that stuff. It was quite nice going around collecting all the different gear. I liked the way the gear leveled up. So there was only sort of maybe sort of 20 or 30 different types of armour or weapon. But when you collected another version of the same one, it would level up that piece of armour or weapon. So you didn't necessarily have to keep swapping things over. You would just find that would sort of level up, and then obviously on top of your own character level ups, you have that. It is a mobile game. It has been a mobile game. I believe it was released around the same time on PC and mobile. We both sat there while I was playing it, sort of questioning how exactly the mobile model ran on that. I'm not sure if that was...
I don't think we came to a consensus, but your best guess was that it was for these keys to open gold chests.
Yeah.
Might have been a microtransaction or something.
Yeah, that felt like maybe like it would be a thing where they sort of suck you in one way, and then it's like, well, if you want to open the gold chest, you're going to have to buy a key.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is actually the case. But it was a lot of fun. Maybe not worth the tenner. I see on Android it is currently £4.79.
Wow. I think there's something nice to being able to have a controller and buttons for that kind of game, but like,
maybe
that is some price disparity.
I think it very much depends on how it's played. According to this, there are no microtransactions, so
okay.
There you go. It's just a flat-out game for £4.79.
Yeah.
Rather than a free-to-play that could very easily have... There are bits in there that could very easily have been made sort of microtransactions or sort of a freemium model.
Well, that's good. It's kind of good to know that that's not the case, because I am all for like mobile games actually charging like what they think they're worth, and that's a good model. Go Cat Quest.
Yeah, excellent. Well done then. That was fun. What else have you played?
We both played a thing together, which is we played the demo for Kirby Star Allies on the Switch.
That was fun.
So yeah, it was fun. It seemed fairly easy, this demo. Like, it was very slow paced and nothing particularly challenging. It was just sort of walk through the level, do the thing, keep walking a little bit. There was a very cute mechanic where you can throw hearts at enemies to have them join your little entourage, which was quite cute. Otherwise, it's generally seems to be very Kirby. It's suck up an enemy, take on their power. The co-op players can be one of the sort of powered enemies, so they have a powered ability. You can combine abilities, I think. Like, at one point we combined fire and a sword to set off a bomb. So, like, there's some nice little mechanical changes to previous games. I think the big thing that stood out to me was just that game looks gorgeous.
It does look absolutely beautiful.
It looks so gorgeous.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of that.
I guess one question I have for you, having played that demo, because when we played, I was Kirby and you were the second player. How did you feel being second player? Because playing as Kirby, I felt like maybe the second player was maybe being a bit limited in what they could do comparatively.
I think generally, I don't know if it was just the fact that I was quite tired that day, I was struggling a bit to keep up with the amount of action around which characters.
Yeah.
Which partly because outside of Kirby, not everyone else is distinct enough.
Yes.
So you can very easily get caught up in that sort of little squad. The other thing is, if Kirby goes too far forward, you are just teleported to Kirby. So it doesn't matter if you've spotted something, unless you are vocalising that, which I'm not terribly good at.
There's none of that thing that some games do where, like, the screen zooms out to keep everyone on screen if people want to split up a little bit, like that.
Or the thing where you get stuck on either side of the screen if you're pulling against each other.
But both of those, I think, would have been useful options, and I think also, like, colour coding the non-Kirby characters would have helped.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a couple of issues with it, but, like, it looks cute as hell, and I've not booted it up yet, but I have code for that game, so I'm gonna have to give that a look, because I feel like it's gonna be my go-to game for a little while for like, do I just want something lighthearted I don't have to think about while I listen to a podcast? Yeah. That's probably what Kirby Star Allies is gonna be.
It made me want a port of Yoshi's Woolly World to Switch, because I never got to play that.
So Yoshi's Woolly World isn't getting a port, but there is a yarn-based Yoshi game coming to Switch. I think the gimmick this time is that the backgrounds are all made of like crayon coloured in cardboard, and you can flip the world to like look at the front or back of the cardboard.
Are they doing a Toy-Con to go with that?
Not that they've announced, but it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I'm a big fan of those sort of just like calm, gentle, very nice looking Nintendo games.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else have you been playing?
I played Little Triangle for a little bit. Did a couple of levels of that. You are a small action triangle hopping around trying to rescue your friends from weird tanks, making it through various sort of platformy levels, avoiding shooty bang bang enemies, and getting to your spaceship,
I think,
at the end of the level and flying off. Yeah. There's lots of secret areas to be found, sort of. It's well worth walking into pretty much any upright wall where there is a large amount of sort of brick wall around that area, so that because you'll usually find something hidden there, be it a friend or a pit of previous characters that are all dead in a pile.
Oh god, I remember you taking that screenshot. It was quite grim.
Yeah, that was all clearly sort of past lives of the main character in what had at one point clearly been a big spiky pit or a pit of like acid or something.
Yeah. But they were
and
like...
there was just this pile of dead bodies that you could stand on to get all these pickups from that area.
Yeah.
Quite dark.
It was pretty dark, but like I played a little bit of that game as well, and it controls quite nicely. Like it's certainly not a bad little 2D platformer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like gonna blow the world away or anything, but it's pleasant enough if you're just looking for like a bit of a go through a story, do some platforming. It's pretty alright.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the background. Lots of, I don't know, sort of, because I've only played it a few levels. I don't know how that will be going forward. But it does feel like there's been quite a lot of detail put into backgrounds and things. A lot of variety in there. And there's sort of lots of graffiti on the walls that... It feels like they put a lot of care and detail into this.
Yeah, it is a more sort of like polished and like shiny experience than I expected it to be. Like, I made a judgment going in where I thought like, okay, small little indie game, but like, no, it clearly looks like a lot of time and effort and love went into making this. Like, it's clearly someone's passion project.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, like, sort of going forward, how much of those assets sort of repeat throughout the game.
Yeah, because
not that I would judge it for that, but obviously having only seen it all once in those first few levels, sort of how often is that going to reoccur, or if it is genuinely like all of the levels are like this.
Yeah, both of us are still pretty early in that game, so if we play more of it, we'll report back. So, yeah.
Have you played anything else?
I played one other thing that I've got on my list, and this is like my big thing of the week. I played a game called Celeste that I absolutely love. So Celeste is a very difficult 2D platformer. Think of your sort of like Super Meat Boy sort of difficulty range. And the whole idea is that you have a jump, a dash, and you can hold on to walls for a certain amount of time. And that is your three things you can do, and then it just gives you lots of big challenges to get through. In terms of just being like a difficult platformer game, it's very well made. They do a great job of like hiding secrets away and adding in optional difficulty for if you just like want to give yourself more of a challenge. There's post-game content, which I'm still unraveling, which has been quite good, but I think the big thing that stood out to me was the themes of the game and how it dealt with player death. So, like, I'll split this up into two things. One of them is, while this is a really difficult game in your sort of like Super Meat Boy, Cuphead, Dark Souls-y type way, the game's mentality around that is completely different. It reminds you routinely, like, hey, it's okay to die, don't stress about your death count, because, like, every time you die and you retry, that's you getting better, you're improving, be proud of that, keep going. Some of the narrative stuff plays into that, where, like, there are points in the narrative where you are reminded, like, hey, just deep breaths in and out, don't get too anxious. It reminds you, like, hey, a lot of the mistakes you're making are probably because of fatigue, maybe, like, step away, come back to it, you'll do better. It's just a really positive game that, like, a lot of these games I reach a point where I get frustrated and I don't want to keep going.
Yeah.
And this did a really good job of going, no, it's okay. I can take a minute and come back and try again. Another thing that plays into that that's really nice is the options for customizing accessibility for the game. You can turn those on and off at any time, and you can turn them just, like, on for a puzzle and turn them back off again. There's options like, do you need unlimited stamina for a minute so that you can just hold on in place and think this through and not have to rush? Do you want an extra jump? Do you want to slow down the game speed? All things that just allow you to, like, kind of tweak it to be like, okay, you've hit a roadblock, you can't progress. If you really think you can't progress, here are tools, you can tweak it, what's going to work for you. And it's like, there is no shame in the way the game presents that. It's just like, hey, these tools are here for you to use. If you're not having fun, tweak the things a bit so that you have more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I've been using that a lot for is when I've been hunting back through levels for secrets I missed, I will turn on invincibility and unlimited dashing and just kind of dash around the levels through rooms I've been through to have a look and be like, oh, there's something I missed. And once I spot something like I haven't gone and done, I'll turn all of the accessibility options off again and go try that challenge.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just kind of made it quicker to jump back in and find content I either wanted to try again or I wanted to look at more closely. The other thing I want to say about this game that I think is really special is it talks in really healthy ways about anxiety. In terms of, like, the way this game is structured, it basically takes the protagonist, this woman who's basically decided to climb a mountain just to prove that she can, because she's like, no, I need to do something to be like, yeah, I did a thing. And as she's climbing this mountain, she ends up coming to face with basically the manifestation of her own anxiety. And it tells a really positive story about, like, hey, anxiety is ultimately, like, helpful in some ways. It, like, it's what probably pushed her to go climb this mountain, is the thought of, like, I should do a thing, I should make something of myself. It can be a good driving force.
Yeah.
You can't ignore it entirely, but you can't let it rule you either. And it's finding that happy medium of, like, where does a healthy amount of anxiety live in your life? And I really appreciated how that story was told. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Celeste is, like,
this.
my big recommendation right now. Like, the week that we're recording this, I'm gonna write so many articles about Celeste.
Well, I enjoyed the first one.
Tee-hee-hee. Yes. What was the first one called, so I can mention it to people? How Celeste Nurtures Player Skill on Kotaku.co.uk. I'm very proud of that one, so go give that a read.
It's a good one. I enjoyed it.
Hey, what about you? I think you've still got a couple of games left, haven't you?
We're gonna go. I think I'll go with one more, and anything else I will save for another episode.
Okay.
I played through in an hour or so a normal Lost Phone.
Ah, yes. How did you find that?
I feel like. When did that game come out?
It only just came out on the Switch, but it came out like a year or two ago in other places. I think I know what you're gonna get at, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, how about we say, for certain minority groups, it's going to be fairly obvious what the trope being examined is. Yep. And if you work out what the trope being examined in this game is, you will very quickly get to the solution, I think, quicker than the developers expect you to.
I'm not sure how long the developers expected you to spend on that, but like I say, I got through it in about an hour or so. My biggest struggles with that were the passwords on the phone.
Yeah.
Because they mentioned that dates are important, and being from the UK, I'm trying to enter them day-month rather than month-day.
Yeah.
And the game is not having any of that. So.
I had that same issue. Like, I first played this game at a convention like 2 years ago. I picked up on what the thing was very quickly. And that was my biggest stumbling block, was like, how I know that this date is this password, but how do I make it work? It's interesting looking back on it, because the developers, like, made a point of mentioning at that convention, like, yeah, you got through it a lot quicker than anyone else did, and I'm like, maybe
I wonder why.
Maybe I have some experience that would give me a hint and an inkling as to what tropes you're going for. I think it's well written.
I suppose I haven't really thought about it from an unrelated standpoint, so I don't know how difficult somebody who is not in that position would find it. But sort of as soon as I twigged, and I did remember that it'd been mentioned somewhere else before, or possibly on another podcast, and I did just sort of start going, I've got to a point where I can now skim read this, because
you know what,
been there.
you know the point, you know what keywords you're looking for, etc.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, what I will say is I think that they did a good job of capturing, like, the tone of what, like, they made this feel relatively like a real phone that, like, was kind of lived.
Yeah. Including working out what the Wi-Fi password is and getting connected to all that stuff. Yeah, I thought it was quite nicely written. Bits of it were very sweet. There is lots to read and lots of little sort of fluff, I suppose.
Yeah,
it isn't necessarily to the plot, but it's sort of quite nice to read sort of some of the interactions, some of the sort of friends' reactions, and sort of the difference between IRL friends and internet friends that you make when you are part of a minority.
They flesh the world out quite nicely, those things,
Yes,
I think. And also,
definitely.
like, they're useful because they hide the secrets you're looking for. Like, there wouldn't be much of a game without all that extra text.
I suppose not. But and also the music's quite good. It was quite nice playing it on Switch, because you have the option of just turning the Switch sideways and playing it in handheld mode.
Yeah.
Although you do start to realise after a while just how heavy a Switch is.
Yeah.
Held one-handed.
You don't realise until that's the case. Like, I can imagine playing this, like, with the Switch, like, on my lap in that mode, and just, like, sort of tapping as if it's like a tablet or something to take some of the weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, Switches are kind of heavy.
Yeah. Need to make them hefty wrist gains. So that's one I've played.
Hurrah! I think that's everything we've played this week.
Right then, cue music.
Smoke alarm, dude. Smoke alarm, dude. No, it's not anything. It's me. It's just me. How you awake? You awake? Smoke alarm.
Who are you? I don't.
Oh.
You don't make noise. What?
Oh, me. I'm the carbon monoxide alarm, and there's a good reason you've never heard of me. I never really get a chance to do anything around these parts these days. I'm here just in case, and that basically means I never get any use.
It's all making toast.
No, it's not toast. It's not toast. Look, this is what I've got to talk to you about. Is you got to calm down, mate. Because look, I get that you smoked your whole deal, and as soon as someone puts some bacon in and it gets a bit crispy, you
bacon.
Yeah, no, not now, but like. And you start shouting about it. I get it, but
Bacon.
it's really depressing for me, because like, I just got to sit here, like, I never get used. Like, could you just, like, I don't know, is there a bacon equivalent for a carbon monoxide alarm?
Only carbon monoxide, I think.
We're here to save the family. We save the family. Protect the family at all costs.
I'm sure I will, but what I don't need is you shouting every 2 minutes.
Toast!
Oh, someone puts... That's exactly it. Someone put some toast. I don't need you shouting about toast every 2 minutes, because it makes me feel obsolete, alright?
We protect the family.
We do. We do. Okay, fine. Do your thing. I'm gonna go back to sleep until I smell carbon monoxide.
Bacon, toast.
Tee-hee-hee. Oh, where are you? Where are you?
I'm over here. Just come towards the sound of my voice.
Ow, I walked into oh, goodness. Oh, there you are. How are you doing? Are you okay?
How long have we been down here?
I don't know, weeks, days, hours, years. All time loses sense in this darkness.
So dark.
I don't even remember how we got here anymore. I'm glad I'm not here alone. I've been finding some.
That's not my hand.
Yeah, I've been finding some things while I'm down here. I don't know if they give us any hint where we are, but I found a giant piece of metal in a circle.
Yes.
I found some giant, what appears to be huge globs of chewing gum. Have you found anything?
Oh, well, sort of very large bits of grit that seem everywhere that smell faintly of salt and vinegar or cheese and onion.
Some kind of crisp flavour. Oh,
yes.
Oh goodness, and oh, there's just a giant spring jutting out the side of this wall. Oh.
Do we try and climb the spring? Or?
Maybe, but like I worry that we're just gonna get jabbed into it. Like, what have we even worked out where we are?
I haven't no idea. The walls seem to be quite sort of soft. They're strangely sort of velvety or
yeah. Oh, do you see
fabric?
Do you see that? Do you see that loose thread? I think we can maybe climb it to safety.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Off we go. Oh god.
Huh?
Oh god, I remember now. I think we just went a bit too far down the side of the sofa.
Yeah, I think. Oh god, the pizza guy's still waiting outside. So, what have you watched?
We watched. I've watched a couple of things. We watched a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, this week we both watched the first episode of Gotham again.
Oh.
Which both of us have started watching this show before and didn't get up to date. So we just kind of went and watched the first one back, and I really like that opening episode of Gotham.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first series of Gotham. I watched it all the way through, and then didn't have access to watch anything after that. So now, realising that it's on Netflix, I will probably try and sit down and watch more of that.
So, for anyone who's unaware, the basic premise is, hey, this is the place where Batman takes place, but before Batman has grown up and become Batman.
He's still Diddy Batman at the moment.
He's just a little Diddy Batman. So yeah, it's mainly following police procedurals with a lot of the enemies are okay, that's that enemy from Batman, which
not yet Commissioner Gordon.
Which in its own context I very much enjoy. There is the context that if you're someone that enjoys a lot of Batman media, there might be a little bit of a quibble with this in that Batman stories often question whether Batman's presence is part of what's causing these supervillains to turn up, in that basically, he's posed them a challenge and they've gone, fuck yes, sure, let's bring it on. And, maybe it'd be better if he wasn't around, but this very much goes, no, all of those, the Rogues Gallery were bad already.
To some degree, they were all getting there. The first season, I don't know how much of the first season you've watched, but obviously it very much centres around Penguin and sort of how he becomes who he is. Obviously he's got some issues right from the very beginning, And then obviously you've got the crime lord, the mafia groups in Gotham that were already there, but none of these sort of supervillains.
I think a lot of them were already showing like the things that would become their supervillain traits, but they just hadn't had that like sort of like the match lit under them yet.
Well, certainly not by the end of season 1, but I don't know how much of that you watched, but
I think it was about half the first time I watched it. I need to jump back in and watch it.
I mean, by the end of the first season, Riddler is becoming sort of much more a thing. You can see him starting to get more and more dangerous. Penguin is on the up and up, certainly within the crime families, and very much sort of sliming his way up that ladder. I can't remember if we see any more of Poison Ivy. She does appear in that first episode.
I suspect not, because she's a child at the beginning. I feel like that's one of those we're setting up for when Batman is grown up things.
Yeah, I can't remember if she pops up again, but even just as a sort of passing in the street type character. Obviously there's quite a lot of Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
Young Catwoman, feeding the cats and witnessing the murder of the Waynes. If you like Batman, and weirdly I don't, but I do quite like Gotham.
Yeah, it's a nice, slightly more grounded side story that I think focuses on people who are a bit more relatable and a little less, I'm depressed, I'm gonna beat you all up, I'm gonna beat up all the villains, I'm Batman.
Yeah.
It's a little less of that.
Yeah.
I like that it not necessarily humanizes, but that it digs into the origins a little bit of some of these villains, so that they feel like they have a bit more texture. They didn't just drop into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you? What have you been watching?
Well, I finally got round to watching the second part of season 2 of The Good Place.
Ooh, what did you...
More please, more please,
Yeah.
more Good Place, more Good Please, please, thank. Very good.
Going spoiler-free, I think that, like, they were never going to beat the twist at the end of season 1. They were never going to have, like, a bigger end-of-season thing than that, but I think they did a very good job of ending this season on a high note and going, oh, okay, I see where this story continues.
No, I'm, and it seems so abrupt as well. I think maybe because we had that sort of, I'd only just started watching The Good Place just before Christmas, and the first half of the second series was already out.
Yeah.
And it was like brief hiatus over the festive period. So
That was, we started watching it together, didn't we?
did.
Yeah, we were very
I think we
sort
did
of like
watch.
just looking for something that looked light-hearted to watch, and I don't think either of us expected to like it this much.
What can we put on while we dilate?
Yeah, exactly. Dilation TV.
Yes, there was a great need for that last year. Less so now.
Yeah, now it's every now and then, but there was a while where it's like, what was it we were listening to? I know this is not the
Bleak
listening.
Expectations.
Bleak Expectations, which is fantastic, hilarious Radio 4
Was
sort
Radio
of
4 yet?
comedy drama series. That was Dilation Radio for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, books are good like that.
Yeah, any other thoughts on the end of The Good Place, or just...
More please.
More please.
It was a bit abrupt. I was quite shocked to find that was it when Netflix was like, and now a trailer for something completely different. No.
Yeah.
No, more Good Place.
I agree.
More Good Place, please.
I agree with that, but, like, I'm kind of okay with being left, like, desperate for more.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad that season ended. I'm like, more, please.
More please.
More
Well,
please.
I hope that will be more positive and draw more people in, because we've seen that a show that one can love and other people can love, like Dirk Gently, can just get cancelled.
Oh, I know. We need Dirk Gently to come back for season 3. We need it. It needs, please.
More weird interconnected stuff, plus. So, have you watched anything else?
I watched a couple of things. None of them I've completed, so quick update on Tokyo Ghoul Watch. I watched a couple more episodes of that. Season 2's still pretty good. They took it in a direction I did not expect. I'm still enjoying it. They're posing some very interesting questions about the morality of eating meat. In terms of, like, hey, how do you justify eating meat when you can communicate with the creature whose meat you're eating? Which is like, okay. that's I'm glad that they addressed that. So yeah, I watched some of that, and the other thing quickly I watched was the new season, I think it's season 5 of Voltron on Netflix came out, and it's only 6 or so episodes long, 20 minutes an episode, so it's only a couple of hours. I've watched the first 3 episodes of season 5. That show continues to be very good. For anyone who's unaware, the Netflix Voltron series is ostensibly a kids show, kind of. It feels more like an anime made in America, in that like it feels like it's aimed at like a young adult audience, and a lot of the themes they deal with are like very well handled, difficult themes. The animation is gorgeous. They have a really good diverse cast. The voice acting's great. It's got really good sense of humor. It's basically just Power Rangers in space. It's group of teen kid people in their magic flying robots go through space, save the world with the big robot. And as someone that loved Power Rangers growing up, I'm very into this. So
is this series? Because I know there was talk previously of a series that had clearly been broken into 2 parts.
Yes, this is clearly the second half of that series.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, season 4 was like, oh, that ended very abruptly, out of nowhere. Season 5 has started. It's a very short season, probably because it's half of season 4.
Okay, wow. Because I thought that happened quite a while ago. I didn't realise that was still the thing.
I think it was season 4 that did that, but yeah, it's. I don't know how the season's going to end yet. I've not finished it, but like they did a good job of catching people back up. If you didn't remember what happened at the end of season 4, of at least going, hey, without having to show you, let's contextually remind you where we're at.
Okay.
But yeah, I really recommend that show very highly. I'm not always a fan of the CGI they use for the big giant robot. Occasionally that looks a little bit floaty, but the 2D animation and 2D animated fight scenes are gorgeous. And it just has a really good sense of humour and diverse team and everything. Woo! What about you? Have you watched anything else?
Nope, that's your lot.
Haha!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Stone Monkey Radio Live News. I'm Sally Marifat.
And I'm Sarah What's-Her-Face.
Tonight, a person cries tears of pure joy as they hug their cat after they are reunited after a long day at work.
Someone at work decides that it'd be a nice idea to give someone else they work with a cake. Not for any particular reason, they just thought they could do with one.
The sun shone down today in a very pleasant manner that made lots of people smile.
There was a very pleasant breeze today, which made other people happy as well.
A small child enjoyed swimming with friends.
Another small child stayed at home with friends and played video games.
A cat found a nice sunbeam to lie in and had a very pleasant time, and the dog did not try to bother it.
A different dog found a very big stick and was absolutely ecstatic.
A turtle got a particularly large piece of lettuce and chewed on it thoughtfully in a very pleasing manner.
Someone at a supermarket with only 2 items was offered to go in front of the person in front of them, because honestly they had a bunch of stuff in a trolley and they were not done unpacking it yet, so they said just go ahead.
Oh.
Oh,
wow, it's been a really positive news day.
I know, if only news was like this every day.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Guppies.
Right. Attention, wires. We only have one shot at this. We're going to have to make it count. Now, do you all know why you're here today?
We were shoved in the bag when they got to work.
Indeed, and here is the key factor here. They put them in a relatively organised manner. They put us cables in this bag. You know, they tried to fold them around their hand a bit so that they'd be in a bit of a circle. They did everything they could in order to prevent us tangling. But this is our chance. We can catch them unawares. They went out of their way to go, we're not going to let these tangle, and that's just like, this is our moment to strike. So,
Mischief.
are you ready for plan tangle ourselves up magically and instantly so that we can defeat the humans because they will waste all their time untangling us.
I found a way to actually pass through other bits of cable.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing technology, Jenkins. Can you pass? Do you have prototypes that you can pass around to the others?
Impossible knots. We shall all pass through each other in unusual ways.
Indeed.
And they shall never work out how exactly it was that we managed to get quite so tangled.
Oh, indeed. And you know that little bit where you can sort of pull the wires apart and have a bigger space, where the wires aren't connected before they meet? We're just going to pull that the whole way down. I know that they don't want that, but just while we're untangled, because then it's 2 separate wires, not one, and that makes it twice as hard to undo.
Yes. We've been also talking to the flat cable that's in for something else, we have an iPhone charger in here too. We're thinking about all getting together to form one massive plate of spaghetti.
Oh goodness, I am very on board with this plan. I'm glad that we finally got the truce settled between the flat cable and the iOS cable, and ourselves the headphone cables. This is going to be our finest hour. Ready,
Especially
everyone?
since the flat cable claims to be tangle-free.
Oh, it may be tangle-free by itself, but it can be a mighty big part of our tangle. Now,
All in this together,
All
one
in
mighty
this.
tangle.
right. Now, everyone ready? Charge!
Spaghetti.
Right, so what have you been listening to this week?
Lots and lots of breakbeat and new school breaks.
Tell me about these.
Well, you remember I was talking about how I particularly enjoyed a mix of Feel Like Jumping on that John Bongley mix.
Yes.
I messaged John and asked him which version it is, and it was the Crafty Cuts Ed Solo breaks mix.
I'm really happy to hear that John Bongley is contactable and helpful with these matters.
Well, I'm glad to, because I was very happy to be able to hear that track again. I've listened to that on repeat a bit. That got me listening to a bit more sort of breakbeat and new school breaks. So I listened to the Crafty Cuts BBC Radio 1 Essential Mix, which is about a 2-hour-long breaks mix. It's very good. One track I particularly liked off of there was Hazy Way by Alex Dolby, the Evil 9 remix. It's good breaks tune. More of that, please. Listen to a couple of other sort of not terribly interestingly named new school breaks mixes on YouTube. I think the most recent one was just called New School Breaks Mix.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Some people aren't terribly exciting at naming their stuff, but still good stuff. What was it? Popular New School Breaks by Breakbeat 2018, on the Breakbeat 2018 channel. And I listened to Knights of Sidonia Grammatic Remix, which is very nice. Breaks mix of Knights of Sidonia, by the way, by The Muse. Why did I say White Stripes? I got Seven Nation Army stuck in my head earlier.
I would like a White Stripes cover of that. It'd be interesting.
I cannot imagine that in my head.
I don't know how that would work, but I'd be interested to see them try.
Somebody get on that. What about you? What have you been listening to?
What have I been listening to? I took one of your recommendations this past week, and I listened to some Drexciya, which is that
nice.
Afrofuturism. Was that the
Afrofuturist ambient?
Yeah.
awesomeness.
So there's one track in particular I've been really loving from them this week, which is Andrean Sand Dunes. Basically, this band is a really good band. If you're the kind of person like me who likes to have music quietly going while you work, and ideally something without too many words, Drexciya make just really nice, chill, relaxed beats with a nice melodic line behind them that, I could just... just ambient lines behind them that I could just listen to them on loop all day. In fact, that's what I did today. I listened to Drexciya just all day while I worked.
Any particular albums, or just listening to individual tracks?
I was quite enjoying particularly Neptune's Lair. Was one of the albums that I really enjoyed.
Nice.
They had a couple of tracks, Andrean Sand Dunes, Species of the Pod was from that. yeah, I quite like Neptune's Lair as an album. Yeah, other things I've listened to. I've been really into an artist called Levi the Poet this week, who I've listened to like isolated songs of theirs before, but I went and like found a few more of them. A lot of his music is spoken word sort of beat poetry over just a single piano line. It's very like, here is a piano, I'm gonna do my beat poetry. Like, you want to be like reading through lyrics while you go, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying an album of his called Correspondence (brackets a Fiction), and it is a series of like letters written from the perspective of one person going through a series of times in their life. And it tells a really powerful story that I highly recommend. Like, it's worth a listen.
Nice.
There's that. And a couple of just like random track recommendations. I really enjoyed a track called Traffic by Denim Blue and McLean Keith. And a track called Scott Pilgrim versus My GPA by Mom Jeans. So those are just two random track recommendations I have this week.
And what sort of style are they?
So Scott Pilgrim versus My GPA is very like acoustic guitar, like one male singer and an acoustic guitar doing like the my voice is trembling because emotions voice. But like the good kind. Like, it doesn't seem forced, it seems nice and sincere. And Traffic is, I don't know how to describe this one. It's got a really nice, like, strong beat behind it that's, like, not too sharp. It's just, like, a gentle, thudding beat driving it. And then a lot of, again, a lot of ambient stuff, somewhat like Drexia, but with a sort of rap vocal lyric line over it. It's very chilled. It's very nice. I like it very much. So yeah, that would be the things I've listened to. Have you listened to anything else?
That's all my listenings.
Huzzah!
Hello, you join us here today for another day of sports on Channel Sport.
Indeed, we are here on Channel Sport to preside over yet another sport. We have to preside over a lot of sports while we do our thing, and occasionally we come into the booth and don't entirely know what sport it is we're commentating over, but it's fine. Whatever this sport is, we will let you know what's going on in it.
Absolutely. And there are people coming out now. I think that's goodness, there's a lot of them. Oh no, that's just some kind of fire evacuation.
No, I think this is part of the setup for the first round. They have to do the ceremonial. Very large team enters the field and then leaves to a fire alarm and then comes back in. I think that's a part of the sport.
Yep.
It's how we organise who's organised enough to be on the court. Right.
Yes.
And I think this is a kick-off. The ball has moved.
Yep. Oh, and someone's blowing a whistle.
There are now two balls. Someone threw in a second ball. I think that's maybe what the whistle was for.
Okay, so I guess it's a multi-ball situation. Everything to play for here.
Oh no, the ref very angrily came and took the other ball away. I guess we weren't supposed to have the second ball in the first place.
There does seem to be an awful lot of pointing and throwing around of likely mats. I'm not sure.
I think they're trying to find where the point scoring happens.
Right, yep, okay, and several of them are fighting over the ball, and they seem to be dragging slowly towards one end of the pitch court.
I assume they're going towards where the points happen, maybe?
Towards the point, and they've thrown it in a thing at the end. I think that's a goal, yes! No, people seem very, very angry about that.
No, they were definitely not supposed to throw the ball in the thing.
No. Oh dear.
Is this some kind of penalty?
Possibly. Yeah.
Everything's getting a little bit hectic and violent. I'm not sure that we're adequately prepared for this sport.
No, indeed. Now they're in inflatables. They're hitting each other with large inflatable hammers.
There's a scoreboard.
There is a scoreboard.
Yes, the left team has 8 points. The right team has 76,000.
That's a good number of points. 77,000.
Unless this is like golf and you want to have the lowest
gore.
So, now they're losing points.
I think we should retire this for today. Thank you
Yes,
very much for tuning into sports.
Yes, enjoy this. Oh, they're blowing whistles now. I can't look away.
Oh, goodness no. Can't
What's
be...
going on now?
Why'd they even bring us in? Is there not like a cheat sheet here?
I don't know. I don't know. I think we're bad at this.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just slide out. No one notices. Yeah. Okay. Are gathered here in the sight of all these lovely people dressed beautifully for the wedding of these two wonderful queer people. And now, if you will speak your vows.
I promise never to fart unless I really have to around you, and at least then I'll try and waft it away from you.
I promise never to sellotape you to an orange.
I promise never to put you in the fridge. It's cold in there.
I promise to build a giant effigy of you.
I promise to destroy all of your enemies with a giant robot.
I promise to lick a tissue and then use it to wipe marks off your face.
I promise to kiss you at least once a week on the elbow.
I promise to jiggle near you when you're sad.
I promise to vibrate near you when you're sad.
I promise to feed you Skittles when we're lying together watching films.
I promise to feed me Skittles when we're lying down watching films.
I promise to teach you to dance to Scalmold.
I promise to teach you how to dance to Gua.
I promise to hold your hair back when you're being sick.
I promise to only jump out and scare you from behind a corner, when it's absolutely really vital.
I promise to scratch the bits of your back that you can't reach.
I promise to scratch the bits of your back that you can reach.
I promise not to leave your toy rabbit in the fridge.
I promise... Thank you for that promise. It's cold in there.
I promise to promise more promises at future times of promising.
And I promise to make so many promises that I cannot possibly make all of them work, and that this is a little bit of a futile process. And maybe I should just say that I'll be nice to you.
Ladies, I think that's probably enough vows. If anyone knows of any good reason why these two should not be wedded, please speak now, or keep your fucking mouth shut. Excellent. Then you kiss. You're done. Marriage.
I couldn't help but blow raspberries on you.
Hee.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brucial justice, warriors.
Hello, how you doing today?
I'm not so bad, Larry. How you doing?
Oh, I'm alright, Barry. How's your week been going?
Yeah, well, it's been a heavy news week, really, isn't it?
Oh, there's been a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, especially them poor folk in the trans community.
Oh, I know. What's the nonsense going on this week with them?
Well, I think the one particular thing that's been coming up that annoys me, as just in general as a phrase, people who refer to being trans as a lifestyle choice.
Oh, I know that old chestnut. A lifestyle choice, it's a thing you choose because it's...
Oh, absolutely.
That's... All the things that come along with that in society today are definitely a thing you would just choose.
Absolutely, yeah. You want to be, hounded out of a job on an advisory committee simply because, you're trans and among other things. Okay, there were other circumstances involved in that. I won't deny.
Yeah, here's the thing. I get what you mean. No one wants to go into a situation where they're going to have an elevated risk of being unemployed, where they're going to have an elevated risk of being harassed. These are not things that you look at and go, yeah, that's a choice I'm gonna make. You know, there's a thing that just is. You know, it's
Ooh,
an
you know what? I
inherent
haven't
thing.
been recently. I haven't been the target of abuse in the street.
Oh.
You know what? Maybe I'll just start transitioning. You know, I'll go through an awful lot of grief with doctors, or lose most of my friends as a result of that. I might be ostracised by large chunks of my family. Yeah, that seems like an excellent choice.
Oh, indeed. And here's the thing, like, look, it's easy to harp on the negatives when we get on this point. Like, you know, it is entirely valid to go, I think I would be happier if I were not as the gender I'm currently presenting at, and to that be a choice you make. But that's not the connotation of saying that, like, you know, calling it a lifestyle choice. The way it's phrased is always in a very derisive way that suggests it's like, you know, this came completely out of nowhere, and that, like, you know, the implication is that you wanted some kind of societal gain out of transition, and that's just not a thing.
Exactly. It was, and I think most trans women will be able to tell you this, that although they've not necessarily felt part of the male-dominated world that they have found themselves born into, and forced in many ways to align themselves with throughout their lives, you know, depending on how long they've been in the closet or whatever. But you know, they then suddenly find themselves in the place of where that doesn't exist, and that lack of even perceived privilege can be very different. Suddenly find that people are being people are just talking over them.
Indeed.
Because that's just how they treat other women, even
indeed.
other women.
Oh, indeed, and it's you know, there's all these things that come along part and parcel with transition, and I think that when the phrase, like, you know, describing it as a lifestyle choice is one of those things where it just diminishes, like, the larger picture. It tries to boil this down to, like, the implication that, you're transitioning because somehow that's going to get you some kind of special privilege in society, and it's like, yeah, you know, it makes trans people feel better and more comfortable in themselves, but that does come with drawbacks. Like, it's the kind of thing you do because you're like, yeah, I got to do this.
Well, and a lot of trans people very much feel that it is a case of I transition or I kill myself. Hence, the suicide rates of trans people are so incredibly high.
Indeed, and it's, you know, it's just a dismissive phrase, and I think that there are better ways to say, like, in more nuanced ways, what the point that's trying to be made when people throw that term around.
Exactly.
You got anything else to add to this, or is that a good chat?
No, I think we managed to make this quite succinct for
us.
us.
For once we had a good succinct chat. That's been good. So, Barry, hope you have a good evening.
Yeah, you got any plans?
I'm gonna go play that video game Celeste about a woman climbing a mountain and dealing with her anxiety. It's a very
I've heard that's very good.
Yeah, very emotional.
Good review about it.
Very, very emotionally healthy game.
Nice.
Right.
More of that, please.
Right, see you later.
Enjoy. Yeah, later.
Well, that leaves me to ask the question: do you need a bra?
Yes, I do.
Do you need a bra that is made uncomfortable by your inability to have complete trust or confidence in something?
Yes.
I find your lack of faith disturbing, bra.
Oh. Do you need a bra that requests that you return 1/60th of a minute back to it?
Definitely.
Gives a second, bra.
Nice. I like. Do you need a bra that will encourage self-investigation for unexpected lumps or swelling?
Yes.
Check yourself, bra.
Do you need a bra that will alert you when you've accidentally reached a dead end in a series of roads?
I do.
No way, bra.
No way, bra.
No way, bra.
Do you need a bra that will identify excellent percussion?
Yes.
And some fat beats, bra.
Do you need a bra that reminds you when to stop exercising your pets?
I do?
Give it a rest, bra.
Well then. I think that just about does it for today.
Hooray! That's been another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. Woo! Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Now's the time when we do self-promotion. Jane, where you are at? Where you are at on the internet?
I am at Maniac Janiac on Twitter, Maniac Janiac on YouTube. I can be found at stonemonkeyradio.blog, and I'm Jane Eris Magnet on SoundCloud, where you may or may not be listening to this now. Ooh. What about you? Where are you? Tell us all the things.
I will tell you all the things. You can find me at LauraKBuzz most places on the internet. LauraKBuzz on Twitter. LauraKBuzz on YouTube. I don't know why I'm doing this voice, but it's begun, so it'll stay now. You can also find me Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 at kotaku.co.uk. You can find me on seasons 3 and 4 of Dice Funk, and you can find me probably more places. That was fun.
Very good.
This is the problem with me and you, is occasionally just like a voice will happen for a second and then we just stick with it.
It doesn't take much time.
No. As soon as you start that voice, I go into this voice too. Yes. Well, thank you.
Before we have another sherry and talk about it. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, and until next time, be a stranger.
Be a stranger.